Alright guys, I have a new knife review for you. This one is this is actually the shortest time I've ever owned a knife in my entire life. Let me give you the quick story here. I'll try to make a long story short. But basically, the mail, I work for the mail, if you don't already know. This is the slowest time of year. So I've had a lot of days off recently, hence all the videos going up. So I've had some free time on my hands. But no work's good sometimes because you get a break, but it's also no money. So I don't have money to actually buy what I'm looking for right now, so I'm trying to trade for it. What I'm actually looking for is a new flashlight mod. I'm talking to someone on Candle Power forums. They have exactly what I want. However, I can't just offer money to buy it, so I'm trying to work out a trade. And I finally got a new knife in trade. Someone here on YouTube just sent me this. This is the Benchmade model 710. Very, very nice person who sent this to me. And they even sent me some seatbelts, which is awesome. So at the end of this review, I'll give you a quick little cut, show you a little demo. So thank you very much for that. You know who you are. But anyway, I literally just picked this knife up, okay? I've had it in my hands for 5 minutes, and the second I'm done with this review, I have to pack it up in a box and ship it off to its new owner. So I literally get to own this knife for about a half an hour, the shortest period of time I've ever had ownership of a specific knife, which is kind of strange. But anyway, I did want to pop out a review for you anyway, and talk a little bit about it. I've already owned this one. In the past, I've actually had this in a 154 cm, an older version of it, so I can speak to the design, the size, the function, all that, just not to this specific blade. However, I do have experience with D2 in plenty of other knives, so I did want to make a video. As you can see, this is the 710 by Benchmade. There's a lot of great reviews already here on YouTube, but again, just give my own opinions on things, make my own video. This one, like I said, is in a D2 steel. Okay, let me talk a little bit about D2. D2 is a great steel. It's a very hard steel. It has a very, very, very good performance. It holds an edge superbly. I mean, it really holds a sharp edge for a very long time. Hard steels will do that. However, harder steels do have their drawbacks. Harder steels like S30V, VG10, A2, D2, ATS34, which is a Japanese version of 154 cm, BG42, especially ZDP189. That's like has a ridiculous Rockwell of like 68. Fantastic. However, these harder steels do have a drawback, or a couple of drawbacks. One is that they're harder to sharpen. A lot of people don't really touch upon this, but harder steels are literally harder to sharpen. I mean, it's going to take more effort, more time, especially if you have cheap sharpening equipment or maybe inexperience in sharpening. So just keep that in mind. When you get these really cool, new, high-end knives, you will have a little bit harder time to sharpen them. They're not impossible, and with some good equipment, really doesn't take that long. But just something to note: these harder steels, you are going to want perhaps some diamond stones, a little more aggressive cutting stones. If you stick with something like Norton's, which are top quality, you don't really have to worry about it. But again, if you have something kind of cheap, it might be an issue for you. Okay, I know a lot of people who are just getting into knives, and they do see these reviews like that I do, and Nothing Fancy, and a lot of great people here on YouTube. But they get the knife, they use it a lot, and as it dulls, they can't get that edge back. They have just a super hard time to get that factory edge, and that is an issue for a lot of people, because at that point, now they have something that looks really cool that they can't really use, so it's kind of a bummer. So I did want to point that out. Something else I want to point out on all Benchmades, all newer Benchmades, I want to say from 2000 on, might be a little earlier, might be a little later than that. However, they do two things. One is that most of their knives, they will actually mark, and I got my little jeweler's loop, take in close, they'll mark what steel it has. So if you don't know what kind of steel your Benchmade has, just look at it. As you can see here, the simple mark D2. They're going to boast about that. I mean, these are top quality materials, 154 cm, D2, S30V. They're going to let you know, okay? They're going to show you right in the blade what kind of steel it is, which is great. And a lot of manufacturers will do that for you. So you don't really have any questions there as to what kind of steel you're running on your knife. Also, another person asked me not too long ago what model Benchmade they had. And I gave him a little tip that I want to give you guys, is that all new Benchmades, underneath their logo, they're going to have their model number, which is very cool. Very, very simple. I mean, if you got this knife in a swap meet or a trade because you like the way it looked, maybe a gun and knife show, and you didn't know what kind of knife it was. I mean, you knew it was Benchmade because of the logo, but you're kind of like, well, what model is this? I want to look up more information on it. Just look at that logo. Just look real close, and there it is. This is a 710. So that's just another little tip. But let's talk about this knife specifically, since I don't have this for very long. As you can see, it is the 710. Very smooth opening. It's got dual thumb studs. You saw there a little flick of the thumb and shoots right open on you. Beautiful axis lock. I don't need to introduce that. You guys already know about the axis lock. I do a full video on how it works. If you're new to my videos or new to the axis lock in general, you can look that up and see the actual workings and how it functions. Very, very good lock. Superb. I mean, there's literally, I would say, 20 or 30, maybe even 40 different kinds of locking folding knives. A huge variety out there. The axis lock is proven. I mean, there's a lot of great locks. Lockbacks are great. But, you know, like I said, a lot of people like the axis lock just because of the convenience. It's a really convenient lock. I mean, some people don't want to mess with liners. What I find is great about the axis lock, not only is it very strong, but with liner locking knives and even frame locks, although frame locks are extremely strong and a good, well-executed liner lock works perfectly fine, you do have to put your hand in a position where as you're closing the blade, you have to move fingers out of the way. In the past, I've gripped my knife, if it had a slim handle, I've actually gripped my knife something like this, where my fingertips were just over the edge here, and I, unlocked the liner, and I closed the blade, and guess what? I nipped off, a tiny bit of my finger, or if my finger was further on here, as the blade shut, it just caught me, on the side here, and that's a painful thing, and it's a stupid mistake. It's stupid to get cut like that, just closing your knife. So having a lock, like Spyderco's compression lock, where it's up here on the spine, or lockbacks where you can kind of clear the the area where you're closing the knife. I like those. It's just a little bit of added safety in that if you're not really thinking, if you're using a knife, I mean, I would of course suggest that every time you use your knife to be paying attention. But sometimes, it's second nature. You grab your knife, you cut your whatever you're doing, opening a box or whatever, and you just close your knife, and you're not really thinking about it all that much. So any design that kind of keeps your fingers out of that danger zone, I'm all for that. So the axis lock is very strong. It's very easy to use. It is ambidextrous. And again, I don't know if I mentioned it, but double thumb stud, so it is truly ambidextrous. You can use this knife lefty or righty. And you can even swap the pocket clip to the other side for a true lefty knife. But it's just easy use and strength. You can't beat that. So a lot of people are huge fans of that. And if you are a fan of the axis lock and you like Benchmades, but you like a larger knife, the 710 is a great one to have. Something I want to point out too is that for me, and this may be personal preference, well, not maybe, it is personal preference, but I happen to see this knife as a very non-aggressive style. I mean, yeah, it's black handle, but if you have the uncoated blade as opposed to like the black blade, I don't really see it as overly tactical looking. I think it's a pretty people-friendly knife, and I've had that experience in the past with my other model. A very, very good experience with that. Comparing this to some other larger Benchmade knives, let's see, you got the Ruckus, which is a beast. Absolutely fantastic knife, but very aggressive. A huge knife. I've never personally owned that knife, but I can imagine carrying that. It's definitely a head turner, especially in public. Even the Skirmish, the full-size Skirmish, to me, amazing knife. Definitely recommended. It's awesome. But I think the style of that knife is just a little bit more aggressive than this. So this is a good option, in my personal opinion, to have as a people-friendly knife. You got plenty of reach on here. I'm sorry, I don't think I gave you guys specs on this knife yet. Just under a 4-inch blade, 3.9 inches. The handle is 4.9 inches, making the overall length just under 9, 8.8 inches long. So it is a big knife. I mean, you can see this in my hand. It's a big folding knife. Just under 4 inches on that blade gives you a lot of options, a lot of cutting options. And you're going to see that when I cut the seatbelt at the end of this video. Having a longer blade, it's one simple pass to go right through, as opposed to having a shorter blade. Maybe in some of my other videos where I cut seatbelt, you might have saw I might have had to go back and just kind of nip the edge where it just missed. But it gives you a lot more versatility having that extra blade length. You do have a false edge on here, or a swedge. Not recommended to be sharpened in folding knives, obviously, because part of it is exposed You don't want a sharp edge on the outside of your knife. That's probably a given. However, having a swedge, not only is it visually appealing, it looks nice, but having that cut, that relief cut on the edge here does actually help with penetration. And this has a nice pointy tip here too. So it is purposeful besides just aesthetic. But it's a fantastic knife. A couple things I just want to say real quick is that the one disappointment on this knife is its texturing. I'll bring in close. This is G10 scales here. You could see how nice that texturing looks. I mean, it looks aggressive. It looks like it'd really stick to your thumb, kind of like a shark skin kind of cut. Well, it's not. It looks really good, but it's slick. It's smooth, and it reminds me of Kydex. Actually, my Kydex sheaths for some of my fixed blades. I don't know why, but that's definitely the feeling I get with this one. I don't know, a little bit of a disappointment. It looks great. It feels good. It's comfortable. But it's not a huge setback. You know, when I get knives that aren't really, really grippy, it's not a big deal. You just have to compensate. You just keep that in your mind. You know, keep that in the back of your head when you're using it. If you're using this really hard to cut something, just, you know, have a really good firm grip on it. You know, white knuckle it, you know, if you have to. I mean, just really hold that hard so there's no chance of slipping and, you know, messing yourself up. With more aggressive, grippy knives and like extreme thumb ramps and all that kind of jazz, you can have kind of more of a moderate grip when you're using it kind of harder. But it's not a huge deal for me. Again, I mean, you know, common sense. If you're going to use something really hard, just have a good grip on it. In the reverse grip, this is great. If you're going to hold it like this, okay, this kind of grip, and you stab into something, which I don't recommend. There's not many things in our life that you need to use a knife to stab into. Penetration power like that is more for self-defense than anything else. If you're stabbing into something, most likely there's another tool you can use for the job. However, I do recommend throwing your thumb on top there. Give you a lot more control. That'll keep you from slipping down. Also, if you're doing any kind of stabbing, I would definitely recommend a lanyard, a full wrist lanyard for this knife. Another thing I like to point out is that the lanyard hole is adequate. I like that a lot. A big problem that I've had over the years with different folding knives is they will always, you know, most folding knives, they'll throw a little lanyard hole in there, but sometimes it's a tiny little hole. You know, and for the most part, most of us use 550 cord for our lanyards. You know, it's very durable, strong, versatile. You can pop it off, use the inner strands for things. And it's usually very hard to get through the handle. Not on this. Very easily accommodating for your larger cord if you're going to make your lanyards. So I like that. It is a big knife. The weight on this, I think, is 4.5 ounces. So it's not a lightweight, but for 4.5 ounces, for its size, it feels light. You know, it's well balanced. It doesn't feel heavy or bulky. It's very slim, as you can see here. You know, it's a slim design. I actually have my pocket here, my cutout jean pocket, so I could show you the carry on this one. By the way, if I didn't mention, this is only a tip up, but it is swappable to left side carry. Again, making that a completely ambidextrous knife. You have the left side thumb stud, ambidextrous lock, and because you could swap the pocket clip, it's truly lefty friendly. And I also want to mention too for you guys, any of you lefty users out there, check out knifeforums.com. Knifeforums.com actually has a section specifically for lefties, the lefties forum, where you can kind of talk with other lefties and see what kind of knives that are friendly and you know, comfortable with, you know, with their opinions on things. So again, just a little shout out to Knife Forums there, because I know it's hard for a lot of lefties to find the knives they like that are comfortable to use and accommodating. But anyway, here is the pocket carry. This is how it's going to show in your pocket. I would call this a low profile pocket clip, in my opinion. I wouldn't say it's a super deep pocket carry. I mean, obviously, a lot of guys are familiar with the SOG knives, you know, SOG, the Trident, you know, all those series, the Flash series. A lot of them have the pocket clip that actually extends to the butt of the handle and over and out. So it's literally like invisible. All you see is the pocket clip. However, most knives in the industry, folding knives, will give you a little bit of handle exposed. I happen to like it. You know, again, when you're reaching in your pocket, it just gives you a little something to hold on to as you pull it out. However, there is a compromise. You know, you don't want to have a whole bunch of handles sticking out. You're more prone to knocking into it. You're more prone to accidentally knocking it out of your pocket, getting it snagged on things. So this is actually a good size, in my opinion, on how much is sticking out. So in my opinion, it's kind of low profile, but not super duper low profile. I like it. It's a good carry. So I think I covered everything. There is jimping, not on the blade, but it's on the liners. All Benchmade's liner jimping is the same. It's literally the same on every model I've ever had. Not so great. Not a big deal when you have the thumb ramp here. I mean, it's not, again, you have a good grip on your knife. It's not going anywhere. Don't worry about it. There is jimping on the underside here, which your pointer finger kind of holds on to. You can choke up a little. There's kind of a flat part here. You can choke up just a little. Would not recommend it though, okay, because there's no finger trail here, and the sharpened portion of the blade goes all the way down. Okay, so definitely not in my opinion. If you're going to be cutting anything that's going to give you any kind of resistance, don't put your finger up there. Just have it down here, because this part does flare out and it's nice and thin down here. You do have a good grip on it. But the 710, it's a fantastic knife. Again, if you hop on the forums, there's so many people with these, and it's for a reason. It's a good knife. Definitely a good one to have. So that is my review of the 710. Unfortunately, this cool knife is going right back out the door. Literally a record for me, the shortest period of ownership, half an hour. But you know what? Like I said, I used to have one of 154 cm. I loved it. I missed it. I got a new one, and now it's going back out. Chances are I'll get another one, because I really do like it a lot. So, and I'm sure you guys will like it too. So that's my review of the 710. Thanks for watching the video. I always appreciate it. More to come. Don't you hate when you forget something? The second I shut my camera off, I thought, oh, I think I missed something. And I went back and watched the whole video, and I did, of course. I missed, at the end, I was going to show you cutting the seatbelt. So here I have the seatbelt. Now keep in mind, I am shipping this knife right back off, so I don't really want to dull the edge by cutting a bunch. But I will take a nice slice just to show you how clean this cuts, and to show you the advantage of that nice longer blade. The person I did trade for this, again, I don't know if you wanted me to mention your name or not, so I'm not going to, but thank you very much for the trade, and also for throwing in all this seatbelt. It's just fantastic. So here you go, guys. Show you one clean cut here, real quick. Right through. Can't beat that. Benchmade 710. Heavy duty seatbelt. And you know what? This is a very realistic test. You may be in a, God forbid, you're in a car crash or something, and your seatbelt jams, which most likely it will. It's good to have something that'll rip right through it, get you out of that crash.